Hello and welcome to the third and final week of my 21-day oil painting challenge. I have 2 videos on this already covering weeks 1 and 2, so if you want to watch those first and watch them in order then feel free, but if not or you've already seen them, let's get started. My inspiration for day 15 of this challenge came from a trip that I took in August to see my friends in Scotland, which was very lovely, and there's lots of forests up there and beautiful scenery, and this was a picture I took on a slightly overcast day, but you wouldn't know it from the photo. Honestly, I got a little carried away with this tiny painting. I had a lot of ideas for this forest scene and I was really excited to paint it, and I had to rein it in a little bit. I got so far through the process and then I thought I'm gonna have to take it down a notch because this is gonna take me a very long time if I don't. And like a lot of paintings this week, I think this is gonna be something that I revisit in the future, but on a much larger scale. It's quite nice how inspired I feel after doing these teeny tiny paintings. I have so many ideas for future pieces now, and this is definitely one that I think will be really nice on a really big canvas. One of the reasons that I wanted to do this painting a little bit faster is that I had some scheduling conflicts in this third and final week. I had some commission work come through and some extra things that I was working on in the background, and I needed to make sure I had enough time for that, so I ended up doing 2 tiny paintings on Monday and 2 tiny paintings on Wednesday, just to give me a little bit of leeway and some breathing space for that commission. This challenge has definitely helped me to schedule my time a little better. Before, I was very unorganized. I didn't have a schedule, or if I did, it was a very chaotic one. But I feel so much more organized at the end of this, and planning to do those paintings slightly ahead of time felt a lot better than rushing to catch up afterwards. There was definitely more of an impressionistic nature to this painting, and that theme continued with a couple of others this week. For my day 16 effort, I focused on a picture that I took of some poppies earlier this year, and it's another one of those pictures, those photos where I have been thinking about how I could turn it into a painting, and I've been putting it off because I just didn't think it was good enough. And then I just sat down to paint it and it worked so well. This was one of my most popular paintings out of the entire 3 weeks. So I think I need to just have a little bit more confidence in my reference photo choosing ability and just go for things sometimes rather than second guessing it all the time. Just paint the painting. Again, this was a bit more impressionistic in nature, and I tried to think about making particular paint marks rather than making everything really realistic, but I think it works so well with this, and I love the colours that I got to use in this painting. I've actually ordered a larger 10 by 10 inch canvas, and my plan is to do this painting again on a larger scale. It's not going to work exactly the same, obviously this is quite simplified, so I'm going to have to include a bit more detail, but I'm quite excited for what that's going to look like, and that's just another one to add to the growing list of small paintings I want to do again, but bigger. For day 17, I was back to painting roses, which I have painted in both my previous weeks. I did a red rose first, then I did a white rose in week 2, and for week 3 I decided to do a yellow rose because why not? I definitely feel that my skill has improved, even just in 3 weeks, which is just ridiculous when you think about it, but my attempt at this rose just felt a lot more natural than my red rose that I started this challenge with. When I started this challenge, I had a couple of goals in mind, and one was to get better at painting, which I definitely feel this has helped me with, but the other was just to feel a bit more inspired and feel like I had a bit of direction because I didn't know what to paint and I was feeling a little bit stuck, and this has helped me so much. I have so many ideas for what I want to paint in the future, and roses are definitely going to be a part of that because I think I can take this further if I do these on a slightly larger scale. I've been wandering around the garden nearly every day taking pictures of the roses as they come out. We're moving into autumn now, and I know they're not going to be around for much longer before the season changes, so I'm trying to get as many photographic references as I can that will hopefully see me through the winter until next spring when flowers start coming out again. For day 18, I revisited a photo that I was actually going to use to paint in week 2, and I decided against it because I just wasn't feeling it at the time. But something about this just kept nagging at me. I think it was the lighting. I took this photo in the garden when the sun was coming down a little bit late in the summer, and I thought it just looked really lovely. There's just this lovely orange glow and it was very pretty, and I thought this will make a nice painting. So I decided to give it a go in week 3, and I am very glad I did because I really loved how this turned out. This was a painting where I was unsure about the composition, but actually putting it down onto canvas made me realize that it does work in a way. I liked the little stepping stones that they kind of lead your eye into the painting. There's a nice little plant pot in the center. There's just something going on in every area, and again, this is also added to the list of paintings I want to do again because I think this is another one that could work really well on a bigger scale. Usually I don't like repeating paintings. Normally if I've done it once then I want to move on to something else, but I think taking these to a larger scale doesn't really count because you're going to have to do them slightly differently. You're not going to be able to paint them exactly the same because it's not going to translate as well onto a larger canvas. So I'm actually quite excited to see how I need to change the design a little bit and the colours a little bit and the values to make it work as a larger piece. For day 19, I was struggling a little bit for time, so I had to set myself a strict time limit for this earlier in the morning so that I would have a chance to do everything else later on. I chose to paint this photo of a lovely bee, which is a photo that my friend gave me as part of a lovely photo album, and it just looked so pretty. I've actually been trying to get a photo of a bee like this for such a long time, but I just have my phone to take pictures with and it's not quite the same, and I was so pleased to get this because it just looked like it was made to be painted. And I know you'll be sick of hearing this, but this is also going on the list of paintings I want to do again. Not necessarily because I want to do this as a massive painting because it's a tiny bee, but I would like to do it a little bit larger, and I would also like to spend a bit more time on it. So day 20 rolled around after I had spent the previous day working for about 9 hours on commission work, and I was exhausted and I was very much painted out. I had no motivation to do this and I was struggling a lot to get started. It took me such a long time to choose a reference because I wanted something that I was inspired to paint, but also I wanted something that really wasn't going to take a lot of effort because I was tired on this day. This photo came from my brother and it was just lovely. It was a nice peaceful scene, and so I thought this would make a nice painting for this day, and I think it worked well with my level of enthusiasm on the day. I don't think I could have done anything really complicated. The beach looked so lovely. I really liked the shine on the water, and the rocks added a little bit of interest on the left. So I think it worked as well as it could have done with the amount of energy I had for this painting on day 20. And so we reach day 21 of 21, the final painting in my 21-day oil painting series. I decided to paint this little candle, this little tea light here, which is an idea I'd been toying with the day before. I was trying to take some photos of the candle, but it wasn't working very well in the light. So I decided to wait until that evening and take some more and then use those as inspiration for day 21's painting. It still didn't work great because I used my phone to take pictures and it just wasn't capturing that lovely orange glow that you get with candles. Everything seemed just a little bit too washed out, but I thought I could use it and I decided to improvise with it and see what I could do. With quite a few of these paintings, I decided to start by blocking out the main colours and then going over everything again. In earlier paintings, I just did a wash of burnt sienna over everything, but this time I wanted to be a little bit more methodical and start with a nice underpainting, and I think that worked pretty well. It acted as a nice guideline for the rest of the painting. There are a couple things I would probably change about this painting, but I think it's the first time I've done a candle, especially in water mixable oils. I don't think I've done a candle in those before, and I really enjoyed it, and I think there's definitely something there that I'd like to do again later on down the line. I love painting light and different lighting effects, and this had a really nice glow to it, so I definitely think I could incorporate that into some future paintings. I realized towards the end that my candle wasn't in the right position, so I had to move it slightly to the right just so the reflection would match up. But other than that, this painting went quite smoothly, I think. And that's a wrap for week 3 and for this 21-day oil painting challenge. I have really enjoyed this, and I have some mixed feelings about finishing. I'm a little bit sad because I've gotten into a routine with this and I've really enjoyed doing it. But at the same time, I'm also very tired, and I think it will be nice to focus on some of the ideas that I've come up with through this process. There's lots of other paintings that I want to do and some that I want to redo, so it'll be nice to have some time to focus on those. I really feel like I've seen a proper improvement in my painting just in this short space of time, so I'm really pleased I decided to do this. I really hope you've enjoyed watching along and that you've enjoyed these past 3 weeks of paintings. Let me know what you think. If you have a favourite painting, then let me know in the comments. If you like this video, then please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you enjoyed this and want to see more art-related content. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.